Hello, everyone. Welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
I'm Chad Kuvo. I'm at the Houston Rodeo here. We missed it by a week, so I figured I'd be here this week, and I don't want to talk too loud because if I do, I yeehaw!
Why is your hat so big?
Because it adds to the yeehaw.
But it made your face smaller. I don't think the hat's any bigger. It just made your head smaller. You look like a junior cowboy. That's better.
Okay.
Tex Kuvo.
Tex.
I like the glasses. That really makes the cowboy look. A lot of cowboys riding
around with their glasses on.
Yeah. Ooh, your mustache just curled.
Where's your spittoon?
I don't know.
Spittoon.
Take your glasses back on. I don't know.
Oh, it's when I open my eyes.
All right. Anyways,
sorry.
Moving on. Joe
Wow, that's Joe Surratt down there. How was your week? How was your weekend, Chad?
Well, we have a
pretty exciting one, man.
I got to get rid of this. We haven't talked in quite a while.
It's been a long time for us.
Yeah, that's the week, but that's a long time. So let's just do a quick recap here. Joe and I ended up going to, well, not ended up, we planned to go, but we went to Houston. We went to Houston last week and spent a couple days there and met with some really cool people. Had a great time down there, but we did miss the Houston Rodeo by a week. That's kind of my background this week.
We got to have lunch with CM and Jane. CM Nelson.
Yes, we did. We got to have lunch with CM and Jane. It was awesome. Really good time. So I came home from that. Not too bad of a flight home. Kind of the normal stuff. But got off that plane, got in a car, rode up to Gilmore with Lindsay and Zoe for a thing Friday night, which was like senior night. They bowling and drinks and stuff. And then last night was actually a senior night for hockey, or was it Saturday night was a senior night for hockey. And yeah, like in closing a chapter, essentially, he has this weekend games left, and that's about it for youth hockey, which is kind of weird and school.
Crazy.
Then it gets real.
Yeah, I guess. Real dumb. Hockey's real dumb sometimes.
How about you, Joe?
I went to Houston.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I came
Did
back.
You see Chad there?
Yeah, once or twice. Had a horrible flight home. They lost my bags. Got back. My car was so iced up. It took about an hour for it to like actually be able to get the ice off of it. And then when I started going down the highway, something must have been iced up on the tire or caliper or something. My car wouldn't go over 60 miles an hour without shaking violently.
Like brake caliper is probably closed and frozen, huh?
Yeah. So I rode home an hour and 20 minutes going 60 miles an hour on the throughway, which was fun. Everybody was very
semis by you.
Yeah. In the snowstorm. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And on the 92 where there's no trees and it's just open field, so wind's just blowing. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. So I left Houston at 12:45.
Did you get stuck in that traffic in Houston going out? I was number 17 to take off.
Yeah, we were forever. And then I went to Atlanta, and then my plane in Atlanta was delayed because the computer broke. Not the computer on the plane, but just the computer checking people in. So that was another hour off my life. I don't know. I think all in all, what was supposed to be 5 hours took me almost 10 to get home. So yeah, it was a great week.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And the weekend was just nothing. The girls were in Florida. They just got back on Sunday. They had a week of break. They went to Florida with their mom. So they came back all tired and tan. So it was good.
Yeah.
And now, and then I woke up today and it was 1 degree.
Wow. Lovely. Well, last week I was at DCA. So I was in Phoenix. I was at the Distribution Contractors Association annual
Really
meeting.
Quickly, Ted, not to interrupt you, just so you know, when Chad and I were in Houston last week, the high, like the 3 days we were there, was like 45.
I love that.
It was awful. One night it was 28. Yeah, Houston. Well done. Sorry. Anyways, you said Phoenix, and I assume it was nice there because
Phoenix was in their winter. All right, it was an unseasonably warm winter week while we were out there of 75 to 80 every day.
Rough.
It was real rough. Yeah. However, I had a similar flight experience on the way home from Phoenix. My Lyft dropped me off at the airport at 9:30 in the morning. My flight was supposed to leave at noon. I've never flown out of Phoenix before. I wanted to be careful. Good thing I was. I finally got through security and everything with only about 30 minutes before my flight boarded. So
I have to concur. Phoenix, I had a huge problem in Phoenix when Norm and I were out there for NACE a few years.
it just
big problems in security. Security was a disaster. It took me like 45 minutes or an hour to get through the normal security day.
Well, the crazier thing is I like gave up my biometric data for that clear thing because I stood in line for 45 minutes and we hadn't moved. And one of the guys walked by and was like, "You want to skip the rest of this line?" And I'm like,
at this
point, I do. So I did the biometric data thing. But I get on my plane and, of course, I fly back and I live in upstate. And on Delta, they have the screens and they're showing you the path of the flight the whole way.
I was on Delta too.
Yeah. So you're flying back and I literally look down at my screen or up at my screen at one point and it's flying over Elmira, New York to go to JFK. And I'm like, so I landed JFK at 6 p.m. All right.
For those of you that don't know,
were you supposed to go to JFK?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to JFK, but I was supposed to land at JFK at 6 p.m. there, get on a flight, and head to Buffalo. Right, I was going to be home by 10:30. Right.
Sure. Never incorporate JFK. Just ask Joe. Never. We can't ever.
Never will again. So I was supposed to get on a plane by 9. I didn't get on a plane until 11:30. All right, flew an hour into Buffalo. And then had a 2.5-hour drive home. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna stay at the hotel up there, right?
Why did you go out of Buffalo?
Because getting to Phoenix, it was so much easier to get out of Buffalo.
Getting home was not.
Not at all. Not at all. And originally, my wife was supposed to fly with me as well, but we had a passing in the family and she had to stay home. But as soon as I became like a single rider, they took it amongst themselves to just shuffle me everywhere. Your flight change.
How do you get flight change? I've never been flight changed.
I almost didn't get on the initial flight going to Houston. I go to get on and they were like, "Sir, can you step aside?"
Oh yeah.
It was one of those. I was like,
so I get back though, and we stay in Buffalo a lot, Joe, right? So we're there and I'm like, all right, I'll just stay across the street at the Hilton Garden Inn. But when I landed, obviously now it was after midnight. So I couldn't I couldn't buy a room on the app because it would have been for the next night. So I'm like, all right, no problem. We stay there all the time. I go to the hotel desk. They're like, we don't have a single room in the building. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I go to the Hampton right next to it.
Yep.
Like, we don't have a single room.
You sleep on the McDonald's. You sleep on the McDonald's.
It's now 1 a.m.
There is a McDonald's.
And I walked to long-term parking too because the shuttle didn't show up after 20 minutes. So I'm like, screwed, I'm just driving home. I started to drive home. I made it like an hour and a half or so into it. I'm like, yeah, I need to take a nap. Jet lag. I left at 9 a.m. It's now 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I slept in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot for 2.5 hours. Got up, drove home. It got here in time to take an hour and a half to start 9 a.m. meetings.
Did you record it in your logbook?
Jesus. So at the end of the day, flying is still a ton of fun.
Yeah. Ton of fun. And then, but then we got back, and this week was great. We had my program had their first event of the season. We took 4 teams up to Buffalo, New York. I met Sean.
And you went back to Buffalo.
Wow. We had
all right, moving on. This is the Teddy freaking hour.
We had a tournament there, and then I met Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
You sent us that picture. I had no idea who that was.
Yeah, that's the head coach of the Bills. He's now.
I don't even know if I got the picture.
Yeah, you sent the picture, and you're like, any Bills fans? And I was like, I don't know.
Oh, I looked at it, but I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't reply. And I'm not
one tournament, one championship after one weekend. So.
I think Stella's happy.
Oh, we got a dog at the rodeo.
Stella.
She's rounding up the Bulls.
Stella. Yeah, so that was me. Now we're here.
All right. So with that being said, what do we do now? Let's get this over.
Let's go to the idiom corner.
Oh yeah, right. This one, dude, I love this one. This one made me so happy. I found this one. Chad, are you gonna be muted the whole time?
Yeah.
Why are you?
I think it's an improvement, Joe. Don't you?
Log out.
She didn't. I don't know what she was barking at. There's nothing there.
There's a strange man in your living room.
Yeah,
exactly. She's doing her job, and you're like,
it's me. I didn't get home till last night. It's me.
So basket case. You guys heard basket case?
Ooh.
Somebody that's like considered useless or a crazy person. They're a basket case, not able to cope with something like a basket case. Where does that come from? We'll start with Chad so the dog doesn't bark again. before the dog barks again. Okay, we're going to Ted.
Okay, so I think that if
Thank you.
somebody has a long medical history, all right, they have a big group of files, all right, from their medical history, and it got so big that you couldn't just carry the file, you had to carry it in a basket.
That's not bad.
That's
That's
a
not a
good
bad one. You come up with good ones. Chad, what do you got?
I
Beat
still
that.
don't have anything more than like
His
Easter.
is people that
All
were
I can process is Easter dollar store, big box, lots of baskets in it, case of them. That's all I
We're
got.
just gonna stop asking you. This one's awesome. So the phrase initially referred to soldiers who lost their limbs and possibly originated in 1919, when rumors that limbs of decapitated soldiers arrived in baskets at a hospital. Major General M.W. Ireland was the first to refer to these as basket cases in his bulletin to express that they had not been seen they had not seen the said basket. So they were basket cases because their parts came in baskets. They didn't know. It's crazy, right? So yeah.
I was thinking files, you were thinking femur.
I like Ted's better.
Yeah, I didn't make it up. It's not like it was, I didn't. Anyways,
The other thing that came to my mind was like I was gonna say like, all right, somebody would wear a basket on their head as like
they were crazy.
Yeah.
Like a
I'm
helmet.
I'm still at the dollar store Easter.
Why the dollar store didn't come around to like the 80s, 90s? When do you think this term like came in the 80s or 90s?
Maybe.
At least put a little effort into it.
I have no creativity.
None.
I mean, you do use a Snapchat filter every week.
That's
pre-created creativity. Somebody else already does it for me. Just has to hit a button.
It's more than we do.
I still can't come up with
I think we
something
could
good.
probably
You
do it.
told me the answer for basket case, and I still can't come up with something good in my mind that was even funny or creative, which is
All
sad.
right, moving on. I thought that one was going to be cool. And it just
I
failed.
did. I thought it was pretty good. I just
Because Chad's lack of involvement.
gas fact. I wasn't lack of involvement. I'm just an idiot.
Weekly gas fact, active gas.
All right. So really quickly, do you guys know what salt caverns are? Chad, do you know what a salt cavern is?
Salt cavern, yes, I do.
So they use salt caverns to store petroleum products, gas, all kinds of things. What they do is they drill a hole down in there and they suck out, like they throw water in there to like dilute the salt, get it all out of there. And then you just have these open voids they can push stuff in.
I've been in a salt mine before, so yeah.
Okay. Not the same, but
no, but I know the
because there's the word salt in it. I have salt in my
He knows
house.
there's salt. He knows there's salt there.
Yeah.
No, but they have storage capabilities that are unbelievable.
So anyways, a lot of natural gas is stored there, but the question is, approximately what percentage of total underground natural gas storage capacity is housed in salt caverns?
12.
So the questions are, or the
Options are?
the solutions or answers are, sorry, yes, thank you. 7%, 12%, 3%, or 18%?
I answered this on the LinkedIn already, but I don't know the answer. I answered 12 because it's actually a 12. That's why I was going for it.
It's actually 7.
Wow.
Actually 7. But the interesting thing is, as salt caverns are an open vessel, it offers very high deliverability. Flow rates can be high and they can be brought on stream and ramped to full flow capacity very quickly. They are best for peak loads and short-term trading rather than long-term seasonal storage. Peak load can be provided by salt caverns where the deliverability is higher. Turnovers will be higher and facilities are smaller. Salt caverns turnover can be daily or weekly, entirely dictated by commercial trading, meaning they can get it out quickly. And usually it's just to supplement like peak demand, like not for long-term storage. Pretty cool.
And they do that in a lot of different, they use old vertical wells to do that too. I assume the salt mines they probably store a lot more than those old vertical
caverns.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a big
Caverns.
Caverns.
Hey, Bill Murray just called me if anybody want to know too. Not the actor.
Oh.
Nobody. If
James
the
Taylor
actor called you, we might have been interested.
No.
Even then.
I saw a picture of him standing next to somebody he was the exact same age as, and they were like, somebody looks like they're on the way out.
Oh, Bill Murray?
Bill Murray was standing next
does
to
look
another
old.
actor the exact same age as him, and they were like,
Do you have
Might
any
be,
idea
yeah.
how hard of a life that guy's probably lived and how awesome of a hard life that dude has lived? He's probably, how old is Bill Murray? Like 70 something probably?
yeah.
He's probably like his body is probably like 165. Like he's probably seriously like all the stuff that he's done. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's got to be incredible. That guy, talk about it having just a fun life, you know. But anyways, not to
digress.
Bill Murray talk. Thanks, Bill.
We blame Chad.
Chad's muted again because of his dogs. Can you get your life under control over that?
I can't. Today's not the day.
Why don't you tell us who our guest is while you're not muted, Chad?
No, you tell. You.
All right, then I'll do it since I'm prepared for it.
Rough.
His name's Rough.
Today we're gonna have Jason Dewar from VAETRIX with us. He's a sales engineer for them. He was born and raised in Lorain, Ohio. So I don't know how close that is to Chad, but
a couple hours up near Cleveland.
Okay, I'm glad he's not near you.
Just so you know, anywhere in Ohio is a couple hours from anywhere else.
True.
That's a valid point. It's the state I hate driving through more than anything in the entire world.
Hey,
that's because you haven't driven through Nebraska. No offense to Nebraska, but east to west Nebraska is brutal.
So Jason's going to talk to us a little bit about his product, the product offering that they have, and a little bit of his own background. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Jason from VAETRIX.
Before I welcome him, I just want to know how many times he gets referred to the whiskey Dewars, because that's exactly how it's spelled.
Dewars.
I think it's amazing. Thank
Dewars.
you.
Hi, Jason. Welcome to Connections for Life. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Hold on, Jason. How are you?
Nice to see you. Not in
trouble today.
Nice to see you not in freeze frame.
The last time we talked to you, I thought you were Veronica Von Sweet from what was from Wreck-It Ralph. From Wreck-It Ralph. She starts to pixelate and goes away.
What was that called? What was she called?
Oh, I remember that.
What'd you say, Joe?
What was that called though when she did that? I can't think of it though.
I don't
Pixelating?
No, there was a name that they called it.
No,
right?
there was a name. I think you're right.
I'll look it up.
It's gonna bother you. That's gonna bother you.
Glad that
Wow,
your internet's working.
tangent
Let's
right
get
off
this
the
interview
bat.
done before it stops working.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get going here.
Yeah, we should probably rush, huh?
You should.
It's Penelope Von Sweets, by the way.
I was close. It's me. I mean, I don't retain anything. The fact that I knew it was Von
She was
Sweet.
the glitch.
It was a glitch. You glitched.
Oh,
That's what it
glitch.
was.
Yeah, glitch.
Glitch.
That's fantastic.
All right, man. So anyways, before we go off on another deep dive into something completely unrelated to you being here, Jason, why don't we just start where we get everybody going, is to kind of, how did you get your start in the industry and working on, you know, what you do now?
Sure. So believe it or not, first job out of Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio, started with
Smart, huh? That's a heck of a school.
Yeah.
That's an awesome place.
Process technology. So Miriam was one of the founders of the manometer, 1911, fucking the original pressure device. So ended up staying with Miriam for about 13 years, originally from, Ohio, and believe it or not, was teaching a class at Robert Morris University in PA, Appalachian Gas Show. And one of the owners of Martel Beta was taking the class and offered me a job. So did a couple of interviews, flew back and forth, ended up moving the family from Ohio over to New Hampshire. And that's why I'm in New Hampshire right now. So worked for Martel, Beta, and Fluke for about 3 years. We got a little too big. We were making a lot of the Fluke products, and basically we had to train the Chinese. They moved it over to China, and myself and another engineer laid low for about 2 years. We had non-competes, and we kind of did the Shark Tank thing. So we reached out to several different people, investors, ended up with JM Test, which was one of my distributors in my previous jobs, as our investor. They bought the VAETRIX brand from Taylor, Oklahoma, and they were the first digital pressure gauge manufacturer. So JM Test actually bought the brand just to hit the repair business. So myself and another engineer, Greg Lindstrom, said, hey, we can grow the VAETRIX brand. We've done this for 20 years plus, and started to come out with devices. And the first was a digital pressure gauge. And it's kind of grown from there. We're continuing to expand in temperature, current, voltage, but pressure is kind of our bread and butter. And that's kind of how everything got started with VAETRIX. So we wanted manufacturing in the USA. We started the production cell in New Hampshire, and we actually moved it down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Kind of the oil and gas is. as far as shipping and labor, much cheaper down there. And so, yeah, we've been at it about 3 years now. And it's pretty good.
How often do you go down to Baton Rouge to the facility?
I'm there every other month or so.
Have you ever ate and drank at Daiquiri Supreme?
No, not that. Everywhere else, but not that one.
Probably not there anymore.
I'm not that good
Oh, it's
either.
there.
Oh, sir. So I have a question back to kind of where you started at Martel. When you're talking about that you came out of there and that's kind of what you started, what was the original thing? You kind of said 1930s. What was that original device that they came up with? I know it's not really on the question, but I assume you probably know the answer.
So the U-tube manometer. So you think about old school, there's a glass tube with liquid filled.
Mhm.
Liquid can have different densities. It used to be mercury. There's green fluid. So that's how they would measure pressure from basically the raw engines. When you talk about the Model T, everything, they would have that fluid. And that's been around you still use them. And that's kind of what started, the basic pressure measurement was a U-tube.
So basically, they push air into it, and it gauges how far it goes up in the column, correct? And that's
Exactly. Yep. Left, right. Yep. If it's equal, it's equal on both sides. Other side. So, yep.
Yeah, it's a kind of tried and true old technology, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, never fails. Yeah, as long as the fluid's clean and you aren't sucking up mercury, it's good to go.
So I guess it kind of go ahead, Joe. If you want me to. It kind of brings you into we just talked about the 1930s and how it's been forever. Why don't you tell us how your product came to be and kind of what it is and a little bit of that background, because I know it's so much more high tech now than that.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, myself and the other engineer, we've been making pressure gauges for several different manufacturers for years. The Martel and Beta used to kind of control the whole market. They would basically leverage technology and label almost all the competitors except for one, which was Amatec and its Crystal. So we kind of said, hey, we've been doing this forever. Let's come out with a new gauge, because gauges have been around, but there hasn't been a lot of new technology. So we came up with basically a digital gauge with a full menu, a graphics display, which would let you navigate, as opposed to a 7-character display where it's pretty encrypted, which let us then develop menus and tailor it to specific needs like gas distribution.
So I can't imagine the work that goes in the back end of that, of the actual software production. Like there's got to be somebody in the background doing all that, right? That's pretty cool.
The firmware, just the display alone, figuring that out, it takes a good year.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we were at it under the radar for about almost a year and a half, developing the interface, display, the whole menus. So yeah.
Really?
I have to imagine that it can be used at other industries. I mean, we're obviously here talking about natural gas, but there's got to be industries that the technology is utilized in. You want to just kind of cover what those are and kind of how they're used?
Yeah, absolutely. So gauges are found in the process control industry. So anywhere there's a 24-volt loop, a lot of people are taking those gauges out, bump checking transmitters. So a given plant, whether it's a chemical plant, it's a food plant, even automotive, they're checking those line transmitters. So they'll take our gauge out on a pump, verify everything's good, talk to the control room and say, hey, I'm reading 50 PSI. Is your transmitter reading that? No. Okay, then let's pull the transmitter, or we got to recalibrate it or adjust the process to basically compensate for that error. But yeah, it's a high-end digital gauge, super accurate. You can turn the resolution up or down, and that gives you the ability to calibrate several different things, even analog gauges, sorts of applications you would never even think about. So,
wow.
It's
Well,
also recordable too, right? Like it charts and records.
yeah, right. So the portability is nice. Old school technologies, the charts, the paper spinning charts. So you can throw it on there and easily, save some time. You don't have to worry about pens, ink, paper, and you got a nice crisp digital display. We got Bluetooth options, so now you can look at it on your phone, set alarms, even on your tablet. So there's a lot of different things.
That's got to be a huge advantage, especially maybe not so much in the distribution side, but I know, some of these bigger transmission lines or even gathering lines, when they have a pressure test on there, they're sitting there all night sometimes. And I'm sure they'd love to have an alarm go off it's actually done.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we based on being at the application, understanding the customer. Hey, why couldn't we do a high-low alarm? So if it falls out, boom, then I can walk away, but it's going to flag me, so I can do something else. Just don't stare.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just don't stare at the display all day. Actually do something else. So,
It provides the ability to multitask.
exactly.
Does
Yeah.
it also have, I mean, from a storage capacity, how much can it hold? Like how many, does it store data too?
Yeah, so it has a chip, a built-in chip on the circuit board, which is good for 64,000 readings. And you can set the interval from a second to whatever you want.
How many people have hit 64,000?
Well, if you do it once a second and you leave it there, yeah, they'll pull the memory. And then you can just erase it.
It goes pretty quick then.
Yeah.
So does that, get that information off of there, you can Bluetooth or that or something, or does it have to be plugged in? How does that work? I'm really like rudimentary on these, so I'm
No. That's a great question. So in the back is a micro B USB connection. So you can upload it to any PC, the software, or with the Bluetooth, like you said, you can use your phone, a tablet, pull the data up, look at it, actually just email it to yourself if you wanted to, or your boss. Hey, I did this test, fire it right away in the field. And that saves a lot of time as far as pen, pencil, filling out forms and then scanning them in. So it can be a huge time saver for sure.
So it's essentially real time. Now, one other question is there any mapping capabilities in there, or is that something that's maybe down the road a little bit?
It's down the road.
let his secrets up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I just know, all this data recorded. People want to go, how do I know where that goes to and where and why and all that stuff? So I figure that's kind of the next generation maybe for you.
Yeah, well, actually, we'll have VAETRIX Live, which is a PC application right there where you can run it, see it live.
That's cool.
It would be cellular, where you can just set it out in the field and just.
That was going to be my question. It's not cellular now, but it
not now, no. But yeah, it's on the horizon. It's actually a project we're working on with.
Don't tell his secrets, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute both
of you. I was just confirming it.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Ted?
Yeah. So that'll be huge. When that's done, then you can dial up anywhere, see your pressure gauge.
That's awesome.
So you have a good internet connection.
Yeah, great.
You spoke about down the road and in the future, but where do you see the future of this product heading in regards to how the natural gas industry pressure tests specifically, because that's where we live in the world we live in.
Right. And that's kind of what's got us, I didn't know about this application until I started digging, because I'm used to the process plants where they're refining all that. But the gas guys, they're taking a cheap analog Chinese gauge, $50, throwing it on that line at 100 PSI and just making sure that it doesn't move within 20 minutes.
Or a chart recorder, which is somebody has to scan all that in or do something. There's probably pallets full of chart records places.
Yeah. So we saw that as a niche there. So, why the gauge has a real-time clock. You can just tell it to record however often. It's giving you the pressure. You can even do ambient temperature. And you can take it for whatever you want, once a second, once every 5 minutes, but it's actually giving you valid data because it's a calibrated gauge. So you can't pencil whip it, you can't spin the chart, and you just tell it to record, you stop it, you upload it, and the test is done. There's no errors, there's no, was that a 7 or was that a 3 or?
Right.
It forces you to do the job. So.
Is there going to be, like, once you get the cellular bolted onto that and it's working, is there going to be the ability to control them remotely? For example, if you had them in the field, would you be able to, from a different locations, change the cadence of how frequently they test, or is that something that's kind of?
You probably could. We can do that with the app right now. You can totally control the gauge. So with the cellular, it'll be kind of the same technology where if you want to stop and start a test, you would just log in, control the gauge. Yeah. So that's pretty much on the roadmap for sure.
So obviously this gauge was created not with the natural gas industry in mind.
No, it was a digital gauge on steroids that
crazy.
Other opportunities, but the natural gas right now, the way they're pushing the regulations, PHMSA, and if there's one explosion, the person actually do the test, or was it a bad test that they just they didn't see the leak, or maybe they just did a quick 5-minute test and walked away.
I think the biggest value for me and like what from where I'm familiar is the recordability, right? Being able to record records and be able to maintain them, because like Chad said, I mean, back even still today, I was gonna say back in the day, but when you're doing chart reports and you have stacks and files of these, you know, these circular discs that you have to
they don't even fit in a folder.
That you might need them at some point in time, and be able to like keep even an online record system, or a record system, not online, but you know, it's a big ask. And I think having the digital, you know, the ability to do that digitally, record it, save it, and have it something that's easily accessible is a huge win. I guess I didn't really realize that about your product until we started talking. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, all the pipeline, even, you know, the big pipelines, or even the natural gas, they got to maintain those records for the life of the pipe.
Well, wait, that's one of the things I know we've been talking a little bit about, probably using it internally. So hopefully,
for us,
for us, it's a heck of a product.
And we were told that by coming on this show, we were going to be given one free.
Yeah, I thought it was full.
I thought we have 8 guys, so we need 8 of these for your appearance and free promotion on the show. That's what free buys you now.
So I wanted to clarify, because you'd mentioned something about the other devices. These are all manufactured in the United States?
Yeah, we build everything in Baton Rouge. We design everything. Obviously, you can't get every piece part. You know,
I understand that, but I mean, you're not buying
the manufacturing process takes place
assembled on a boat, right? Like you're
no, everything's and we can claim made in the USA because the majority of the cost is But yeah, can I get a display in the US? No, can't do it. Can I get a lot of the chips? No, can't do it.
Pretty wild.
Understood.
Yeah.
Speaking of
business idea.
Well, this is going to take us to a different kind of place, but you know, with supply chain issues and things like that, have you guys had a hard time maintaining production through this, or is it just been?
No, we kind of planned it. We knew a couple different. The chips are always a concern, but we run at 5,000 pieces board, so it buys us a lot when we run those. So yeah, the chips are definitely concerning. Else we kind of got under control, but there, you know, it just all depends on that chip manufacturer, and then you got to find, or that diode, then you got to switch it, and then intrinsically safe, forget it. Because resubmit, so it's a cluster. So it's been challenging. We haven't got burned yet. We're actually in good shape, so we can turn a gauge usually in 2 days out the door. So,
that's awesome.
So I just wanted to ask, you know, if people want to learn more about your company, or they have questions, obviously they can reach out to us, because we're working alongside you, Upsco, that is, in regards to the product. But is there anything online or a website you can point people to that maybe they can go on and check things out if they do want to take a look at things?
Oh yeah, I mean, you go to VAETRIX.com, you're going to see me babbling on YouTube. A better looking lady to shoot videos. So,
we babble on YouTube.
She's much better. But
why are you here?
Better job there.
How did we get you?
I don't know. I get her. You guys might faint.
So that's VAETRIX.com, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So we'll put that in the link in the bio and everything of your video whenever we decide to post it.
Yeah, if you guys, and then side note, if you guys see something there, let me know. I control the website, so if there's certain things you guys see that's confusing, just give me a heads up, and I'll fix it or address it. So the more feedback I get,
a lot of good info there, though.
I have 2 more questions, real quick.
Oh, 2?
Yeah. Right. Number 1, I have to ask, just with your last name, how often do people give you a hard time about the alcohol doers versus your last name?
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I got beat up when I was a kid, but yeah, it's
that has nothing to do with
the drinkers always go, oh,
that has nothing to do with your last name.
Yeah, but no relation, I assume, right?
No, actually it is, and that's on my bucket list to go there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's pretty neat.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that is awesome. Very cool. Do you drink?
I mean, I can't drink it. I can drink anything, but I hate that.
But not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second question is, where did the name VAETRIX come from?
You know what? I don't even know that. I know it was started out of Taylor Valve in '76. I think they just came up with some crazy name. I can't figure it out. I don't know what B means, a check mark. I tried, but no one will tell me, so I don't know.
I think a lot of us get it confused with another popular sounding name for some type of medicine. Does everybody else understand where I'm at?
Oh, geez.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
No.
So the reason
No
why
free ads.
No
The
free
reason-
ads. Remember that, Jason. No free ads.
Just think about how many disclaimers you'd have to have afterwards too.
Yeah, right. We affectionately just kind of jokingly always say that. So I want to.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, we chose because it's hard to do a brand. It would have took us like 3 to 5 years to come up with anything. At least this one in Oklahoma and Louisiana and Texas is known.
Has some legs.
The original one looks like a radar gun. If you see it, it's 13 pounds. Looks like a hammer, Thor's hammer.
13 pounds.
Yeah, you go to the website, you'll see it.
Holy moly.
Got a crank on the side.
It had 3 double D batteries. So yeah.
3 D batteries.
That is one good question though. As far as the gauge goes, the battery life. How long is that, or how long does it need to be? Can you replace it? Do they need to be replaced?
Yeah, it's just alkaline AA's, and you get about 1,200 hours. Or you can plug it in via USB and run it from a computer or a wall.
If you get the ones in the dollar store, you only get like 13 hours. So
Yeah, you get
the ones he always
7
gets me.
Yeah. I wonder why this battery's a nickel. Yeah, well, cool, man. I think it's an awesome product. I'm glad you came on the show. I think that our industry is always searching for not I don't want to say a change, but to grow, right?
Innovators, right?
Right.
Yeah, and in the industry, you guys know, it's hard to get people to change, especially in this industry. If you would have said 3 or 4 years ago, I would be able to run my gauge with a chart recorder. No way, not even possible.
Right.
So we are seeing a shift where they're running them side by side, and eventually, hey, this is a lot easier. Why don't we just switch over?
That's cool.
So
Yeah,
we're definitely seeing a change.
I think some of the struggle always there is this is the way we've always done it, so we don't need to change it.
We don't need to change, right? Yeah.
Training and going through that whole,
Always the hardest part.
which change always happens when it has to happen. When somebody says you need to record, and people start having to make some concessions to how they've done things in the past. I don't know. I see a lot of bright future for your products. The one last question I had for you, man, was, do you have anything else, any other products that you guys manufacture that fall within line of this, or anything that you might be working on that would be utilized in our industry as well?
Yeah, so we have that gauge, but we also have a gauge that's more for hydro testing, where it has 2 separate RTDs for varying temperature. We also have a temperature probe that you can throw across a huge pipeline in several different locations. If it's miles, they're going to want to know the temperature throughout the elevation. So we've come up with that. And then we have some things on the works as well. So,
Cool.
So yeah, it's we're going to keep expanding. Like I said, we got a background in current, volts, pressure, frequency, temperature. So yeah, we're going to keep expanding, find the niches, and then just go after those niches for our customers.
Well, good for you guys, man. I really look forward to working with you guys and learning more about your products. I think that, again, if anybody wants to learn any more, it's VAETRIX.com, or, reach out to us, and we can certainly point you in Jason's way and get some questions answered if you have them. But from me, man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I'll let these guys go.
Well, honestly, I just want to say thank you. I really found it much informative because, again, I'm the baby of the group here in regards to knowledge of the industry. So anytime I can learn a little bit more about it, I'm truly appreciative. So thank you for your time, my friend, on this.
No
Chad,
problem. Thanks, Ted.
don't mess with the rear.
I don't know what to say other than thank you. Guys took it all. I'm sorry Joe asked 400 questions after that. They were all really good.
Questions.
They were all really good. That's why they were good.
That's why I get paid $0.
The Zilchos.
The
ESPN Zilcho.
Huge shout out to our hoodie sponsors for this interview. North Face and Adidas.
Hey, no free ads.
Hey, they're getting one. No, seriously, thank you, Jason. We really appreciate you, and we can't wait to hopefully get together one day here in the future. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Jason. Appreciate it, man.
Later.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us, man. That was such a great interview. We really enjoyed your thoughtful insight on the matters that we discussed, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Joe, keep your face straight. We want to see the reaction of that. I'm trying so hard to change these because you mocked me.
No, the whole point is not to change them because he mocks you.
It's not even mocking you. You make it's even worse. Like, that's worse. I don't even know how you could get worse. Like, just
thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Here's the thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, normally you're about a 5. when you try really hard, you drop to a 3. I don't know how you do it. Jason, thank you for coming on the show. I apologize for the lack of, I don't even know what that was. Just, I can't wait till you watch it. Like, because I don't even think in your mind, you know, like you've never
not watching it.
Watch it, right?
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
It's so bad. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like, you had like, you talked about
Cat's crying.
Anyways, let's move on. Jason, we're sorry. Normally they go better or worse than this. I'm not really sure, but different than this.
They're different. Different is the appropriate word for that, Joe.
Look at us. We're all like, when are we gonna get a sponsor? You got Nike. I got Adidas. Got
North Face.
Got a Tommy Bahama hat on. This is crazy. If any of those companies are watching, please send us a free T-shirt. What's that?
Biltmore. It's the resort hat from Phoenix.
It makes your
Every year you come back with a new resort hat. The last year's looked like you're gonna paint your house.
That one's that one's so white. It's like
that would. How long have you had that? Because it wouldn't be white if I've had it as long as
you wouldn't have made it
a
week.
It wouldn't be white.
A week and I got just over a week. I got it last Saturday. So
all right, we got to do some news.
Oh yeah,
news. Yes,
news.
My favorite part of the show.
Who's the chair?
Joe's the chair.
So this week we have 2.
You cleaned up your tabs, Joe?
Nope. I probably
he just adds to them every week until the computer breaks and then he gets a new computer.
I do not. So anyways, this one's from Yahoo News. I'm sure you can find it somewhere else, but this is an interesting one. So like during the pandemic, a lot of gas utilities, I assume and electric utilities, suspended bills or suspended shutting off services for lack of payment. New Jersey,
kind of like the rent moratorium.
Kind of. New Jersey utilities, this says that they're not going to do that after March 15th anymore, which I found to be interesting because I don't know, here's the thing. If you didn't have the money before, I don't know how you're going to catch back up. You know, how much is your gas and electric bill? Just throw a number out there, ballpark.
$350 a month.
$300.
Our gas bill's the most it's ever been, and it was $215 this month.
So let's just say $250, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're more than 90 days behind, they're going to turn you off, meaning you have to come up with $750 minimum to be able to.
Do you think they'd take like $5 plus your normal payment?
It doesn't.
No,
say
what they've done in the past with payment plans up here in New York, I know about was they would take your normal bill and then take what you owed them and divide that over 12 months.
I don't even know.
So say you owed them $750, they'll divide it by 12 and then add it onto your bill for the next 12 months.
I got it. Well, the interesting thing is here is PSE&G, Public Service Electric and Gas, right here. The state, can you guys see my pointer?
Yeah.
Okay. The state's largest utility said that about 275,000 customers, or 11% of its 2.5 million customers, are at risk of having their natural gas and electric service shut off after March 15th because they are obviously more than 90 days past. Here's my question.
I have a couple.
You shut that off. Now, how much money are you paying to have to go turn it back on?
Yep.
More than you could ever think.
Probably more than the $275,000 customers.
The other thing is there are laws, and I know we're kind of coming out of the winter months, but there are laws that they can't just shut off.
Somebody off in the winter.
In fact, there was a guy I knew years ago, and you probably know who it is too. Charlie Schmidt, I believe his name was, from Buffalo Gauge. He had come up with a product probably 10 to 15 years ago that was an electronic shutoff valve to shut people's gas services off from the street. So you didn't actually have to go to the house. You could turn it back on. Obviously, you'd have to relight. But he created that and took it to some very big utilities, and they said we can't really use that because we don't shut off people's services that much during the wintertime, especially.
If you read the rest of the article, turning off a customer's electric or natural gas service is not automatic. A utility rep, so they have to pay somebody to go out there, must go to a customer's home, talk to an adult to make sure they understand their service is going to be shut off. They also must make sure the customer is not on life-sustaining medical equipment. So you have to pay somebody to go out and visit at least $275,000.
Probably cheaper just to write off the gas bill.
If you continue down in the article, right here, according to the utility data filled with the Board of Public Utilities, 936,505 residential and electric gas customers behind on their utility bills as of past January, with 323,485 more than 180 days overdue.
Wow.
As of December, 161,853 residential water bills were also overdue, amounting to 49.8 million in charges.
$50 million in late bills.
That's for water. That's for
Crazy.
water.
Wow.
Right.
Absolutely crazy.
And what's water, like $120 every other month?
It's not, it's the sewage that you pay for. The water's not even, the water's like $10. Sewage is like 300.
I see. I get a sewer bill for like $350 once a year, but then I get a water bill like every other month for like 125, 150.
You know what it is they I don't know. I don't know way out of this. Like, people aren't getting any more money. Inflation is up 7.5%. People can't afford to feed themselves or clothe themselves or house themselves. And now we're going to have to tell them that, you know,
Or they're not going to have heat.
Or they're not going to have
to work. Well, that's the other part. Like, there's.
I'm sure that that's a percentage of them, but I mean, let's just go with the people. Like, just let's say 10%. Let's say 10% of those people just cannot make ends meet. Like, they just can't. You know, when we live in upstate New York or in Columbus, where I assume it's not all that expensive, but like in those cities, it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your rent is, I mean, your rent on an apartment is could be in the thousands.
Anywhere in New Jersey is in New Jersey. It's insane.
And then add on top of, and 180 days past due. And I mean, I don't know how you get caught up. It's a sad thing. You know, you talk about sending, I hate to say this, but you talk about sending all this money overseas for all these different programs and all these other things we're trying to do. How about we just let these people like live and be able, and I'm not saying we should give money away, but we give money away.
If we're giving money away, why not give it to home?
Or at least people that can prove that they need it and can use it to actually, you know, improve. I don't know. Maybe that's me that's a pipe dream, but anyways. So I thought that was interesting. The next one really quick, guys. I just want to talk, Chad and I saw this over the weekend or week. We got to go. What?
You got to go.
No, we got time. The U.S. Postal Service is actually defying Biden and the Environmental Protection Agency. Instead of going with mail fleet trucks to replace, it's billions of dollars, multi-billion-dollar plan to replace the trucks. They're going with actually mostly gas-powered vehicles instead of the electric ones. Only, I believe, 10% are going to be actually electric, and all the rest are going to remain gas.
Interesting.
Well, it makes sense because you've got to think of the conditions that a lot of these Postal Service vehicles have to go through. And the life cycle, like our mail carriers start at 7 a.m. here. All right. They're not done until 7 p.m.
Yep.
I don't know one that has a 12-hour charge doing the terrain and the start stop that a mail. I don't know.
DeJoy says, so they're going to be buying anywhere between 50,000 and 165,000 new trucks. 10% of those will be battery or electric vehicles. Okay. But DeJoy said, the Postmaster General, right? That's his name. Chief Executive Officer, Postmaster General. Same thing. Louis DeJoy said in a statement that the men and women of the United States Postal Service have waited long enough for safer, cleaner vehicles to fulfill on our universal service obligation to deliver 161 million addresses in all climates and topographies 6 days per week. They just determined that the vehicles wouldn't work for the purposes that they need them to. And again, I don't mean to like crap on any electric vehicles and stuff. There's a place for everything. But we can't make everything be in that place when it's just not there yet. So interesting that they went that way. I'm sure there'll be a lot of backlash, but you know, from somebody will notice. I just know people that drive these postal trucks around, and you know, just in my personal life, and some of them like are 30 years old. They don't have heat. Yeah, they don't. I mean,
we have to leave.
Right. We love you guys. We thank you. We'll see you next week. Remember, click like, subscribe, follow.
I have to hit end again.
You have to hit the button, Chad.
We had 2 minutes, so.